Bull or bear? I'm using the newer 1 ounce silver round, and I can never spin those right. The newer 1 ounce silver round that has a bull on one side, a bear on the other, and it comes up a bull. Good morning. Hey, what's up, folks? This is Brian Kuzmar with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals in absolutely beautiful Lauderdale by the Sea. Take a look at the waters out there. There is some sargassum weed. You know, as some of you folks that live in South Florida and some of you folks in the country have heard, supposedly, I'm not quite sure where it is at this moment, but there's a huge continent-sized seaweed mass moving towards, I don't know if it's in the Gulf Coast or coming up our coast or not, but we haven't seen any heavier sargassum buildup on our beaches than we normally have. And for you folks that don't know what sargassum is, interesting weed. You know, if someone could figure out a way to turn this into power or turn it into food or something like that, I'm telling you, you know, millions of tons wash up on our beaches here. This is also what me as a fisherman and other fishermen look for when we're out fishing. We look for these seaweed, sargassum weed lines, and they call them weed lines, and they're long stretches that kind of line up with the wind, and dolphin, mahi, all those fish like to congregate, wahoos like to congregate under these sargassum weed lines that are out here. So we fish those quite often. Well, weather's really nice here. Looks like we had a little storm off in the distance and just passed us by, but boy, folks, it looks like we got a bigger storm happening here in the real world. Well, I'm not sure I can call this the real world. But meanwhile, let's move along with the quote of the day, which is the 4 most expensive words in the English language are "this time it's different." John Templeton, again, the second time in the day I haven't checked the person that wrote this quote or verified this, but I like the quote, whether John wrote it or not, or whoever John is. I hope he's not a Nazi or something, but anyways, I doubt it. I didn't mean to disparage the guy, but I didn't check who it was. But I like the quote. The 4 most expensive words in the English language are "this time it's different." I think the second the most expensive words are "watch this, hold my beer." So, all right, let's take a look at what the spot prices are. Kind of backing off. I saw 2030 a little bit earlier here, and well, let's take a look here. Let's take a look at today. Well, that's today. Let's take a look at the overnights here, the overnight markets. 24.75 here. Sorry about that. Let me turn that off. Hopefully one of my crew gets it. 24.75 below, 24.97. So kind of range bound in that $24 to $25 range. We've already touched over 25 a couple times. Take a look at that. 25.15 in the New York markets. 2023 in gold, high at 2032. So it did bust above that 2030 mark a little bit, backed off here, but overall the strength doesn't look too bad. I'm kind of curious to see where it goes from here, which of these markets get spanked. You know, silver markets are spanked continuously. I mean, they are. They're just completely rigged continuously. That's why silver is so cheap. That's why you can buy it so cheap. That's why it's such a great deal, because it's been continuously monkey hammered for years and years. It still is. In my opinion, silver should be at least twice this value here. There go the phone calls, folks. Everyone waits till the prices go up to buy. That's where I get all the calls. A vast majority of the people do. And platinum kind of sideways, but silver is just such a monkey hammered market. It should be double this. Gold, also a very monkey hammered market, but not as much in the COMEX group as a lot of people might think, all right? And the reason for that is gold is more of a global asset. You know, central banks own gold, not just J.P. Morgan, not just banks that are buying derivatives in the CME Group's bullshit paper market. Central banks own gold, physical gold, including the new BRICS nations. Not the new BRICS nations; they've been around forever. People are just starting to wake up to realize again, it's like watching not a monster grow, but watching your competition grow up right next to you for years and years and years, and knowing how you created that competition by weaponizing your U.S. dollar and continuing to do it and continuing to fail to see that you're creating your own competition, your own demise. That's exactly what the government and the Federal Reserve has done. Now, the government's just plain stupid. Federal Reserve, It could be purposeful on their part. This may be a reset by them. I don't know. They know that they know that the fiat dollar, the fiat anything, pound, whatever you want to call it, the fiat peso, they're all going to hell in a handbasket. They'll be worth nothing one day. And again, I've completely digressed what I was talking about with silver. So, oh man, rabbit holes. The problem with rabbit holes nowadays is there's just so many of them, and it's so easy to step down them. But got to remain, the focus here is about why silver is so low. It's because it's such a manipulated market. I still think silver's on the cheap right now. Gold, I still think it's pretty cheap right now. And we're going to get into how gold is manipulated. And yes, it is manipulated. But again, silver is such a small marketplace. No central banks own silver. So I mean, none that I'm aware of. Do you know any central banks that buy silver? Do you know any central banks or BRICS nations that are stockpiling silver as a backup for their currencies, a tier 1 asset? I don't. Gold primarily holds that honor as a tier 1 asset. And silver is such a small market, and again, that's why we haven't seen an explosive move to the upside. That's why silver hasn't hit its hasn't hit its all-time high, but twice already. Okay, again, 80s and 2012 hasn't seen it again, and that is because of collusive, manipulative behavior by J.P. Morgan, by the CME Group, by all the big collusive commercial banks out there. And we're going to talk about how J.P. was actually able to keep gold in this level, in the $2,000 level it's right now, because imagine JP hadn't done what they did the other day, prices would have shot up significantly more. We would have probably broken our all-time high, and I'm going to get into that. Good article by Ted Butler. Let's just jump right in here. And Ted Butler puts these articles out. This is in his newest newsletter, which I just read, and there's some more stuff than this, but Ted kind of clipped out some stuff and gave it to SilverSeek. I'll give SilverSeek credit for that. And he does a lot of work with SilverSeek. I'm not sure if it's paid work or not, or they're his buddies or something, or you can still be buddies and get paid work. But Ted Butler, this is in his new newsletter, so since it's in public domain right here, I don't think there's any issue with me reading, and I don't think he minds me reading his newsletters anyway. And you should know this. And this is just the other day, okay? Ted says a major development last week was a large amount of gold issued by J.P. Morgan over the first 2 days of COMEX April contract. Total gold deliveries by J.P. Morgan of 14,326 contracts includes 10,682 contracts, 1.07 million ounces of gold by JPM from its proprietary house account. Was the largest by JPM in history, all right? Yes, and this is the same JPM that was fined $920 million, almost $1 billion, for spoofing gold and silver markets back in 2012, destroying the gold and silver market back in 2012. All they got was a deferred criminal prosecution and a $920 million fine. And guess what? Any other normal judge, if you were a con man and you were conning people in the futures markets, or you were conning people in the FX markets, and by the way, they do that too, or you were conning people in even my market, the coin market, a lot of judges will say, you shall never own another coin business again, or you'll violate your parole agreement or whatever it is. J.P. Morgan never got any of that. You know why? Too big to fail, too big to jail, and I think a lot of people are starting to realize, and I think Ted is as well, and I believe it, and I think God talks about it all the time. J.P. Morgan is in bed with the federal banks, the Treasury Department, and they're in bed with them. And the reason they would be in bed with them when it comes to gold particularly, not silver markets, but gold particularly, is because the U.S. dollar, Greenspan once said famously that gold was kind of the canary in the coal mine when it came to the U.S. dollar, and a rising gold price looked bad on the dollar, and rightfully so too, because money started moving into gold. So it would behoove the government, in secret, maybe using J.P. Morgan as their proxy, to manipulate the price of gold down when needed, using derivatives and all the bullshit that they use. But here, let me move along here. Ted says, and again, Ted is not really talks much about the U.S. government manipulating the price of gold through JPM as a proxy. Gada.org, which you should have in your big bookmark bar, does talk about that. that the JP is just a proxy. But here, let's move along here again, because so many rabbit holes, so easy to step into them. This is big news because it demonstrates clear and blatant price manipulation by JP Morgan. With more than 19,000 contracts of gold standing for delivery, what would have been the price of gold? Exactly. Had JPM not delivered 10,000 contracts from its house account. So instead of seeing like 2,000, where a little bit over 2,000, folks, we could have saw 21, 22. I mean, who knows what we would have seen? And Ted Butler clearly points this out. This is in the data. This is facts. This is not bullshit. That JPM came in there, knocked the price of gold down by delivering that many contracts, 10,000 contracts from their house account. And this is just blatant, folks. They don't even try to hide it anymore. They don't even try to hide their crooked behavior anymore. This is what makes you believe that they're in bed with the government. They're in bed with the Treasury Department. They're in bed with the Fed. All right, in bed with the Fed. I made another rhyme. Boy, that'd be a good title too. Let's think about that. Even the dimmest of wits, say at the Justice Department or CFTC, I agree 100% with that, they are dimwits, either that or they're complicit, should be able to conclude that without JP Morgan delivering this many gold contracts, gold prices would have had to increase enough to attract others to take JPM's place, all right? So JPM had stifled the price of gold, it appears to be, and but let's see how well that works. Again, the problem with the gold market is JPM can do, on the short term, can manipulate the gold market, as and they're probably the largest out there, as can the big commercial banks in the crooked CME derivatives groups paper markets called the gold and silver markets, COMEX markets. They can do it on the short term with gold, but they can't do it on the long term. And I'm kind of thinking that this was just a short term play by JP, and all, just so blatant too. They didn't even care about getting caught. And by the government, I believe as well now, yes, put on my tinfoil hat. And the powers to be to knock the price of gold down temporarily. Now, when I again say temporarily, they can only do so much. Remember, the BRICS nations own gold. Russia, China owns a huge amount of gold, probably as much as the U.S. Does, especially if there is no gold in Fort Knox. Another rabbit hole. So anyways, here, let me continue. They did this while functioning as the biggest COMEX short seller in order to keep the price down. Spoofing was peanuts compared to what JP Morgan was actually guilty of, all right? Now, Ted goes on here. Now, folks, feel free to go to the CME group, go to the CFTC, especially the CFTC. Go to the CFTC's website. If you're bored and you got nothing to do right now, or tonight, whenever, go to the CFTC's website and just, type in some of this stuff, cut and paste some of Ted's stuff here, cut and paste this part right up here, all right, this section right here, and ask them what the F is going on. Are they stupid or what, okay? And do that to the CFTC, do it to the CME group. I'll bombard these bastards' emails with these questions on why they're allowing this manipulation to happen. Their emails are everywhere out there too as well. You can bombard their Twitter site, their Facebook site. Folks, I highly recommend it. Let them know that at least a small percentage are watching, and we know that what the dirty effing trips they're up to. All right, now that I got that out of my, Ted says correctly here, price manipulation cannot occur with a concentrated position. That's what we witnessed in full view by JP Morgan over the first 2 days of the COMEX April gold deliveries. Back in 2020, now we're going back here, JP Morgan entered into a deferred criminal prosecution with the Justice Department for manipulating precious metals on the COMEX and other infractions, and agreed to pay a headline-grabbing $920 million, a pittance for JP Morgan. The fine and the DPA only scratched the surface of JP Morgan's long-term manipulation of gold and silver because the case focused solely on spoofing and the short-term manipulation of prices. It ignored the much more serious price suppression of silver and gold and JP Morgan's accumulation of massive quantities of physical silver, more than 1 billion ounces plus, more than 30 million ounces of physical gold over a decade. They did this while functioning as the biggest COMEX short seller in order to keep the price down, and that's what they did. Spoofing was peanuts compared to what JP Morgan was actually guilty of, and probably still is to this day to some degree. Ted says, I always acknowledge that JP Morgan choose to do so. It could depress prices by releasing a portion of its physical holdings. Well, guess what, folks? Here we are. I argued that because of the massive amount of physical silver and gold accumulated over the years at dirt cheap prices because they stole it. That's really what they did, folks. They stole it through manipulative practices. And again, how did they get away with this and with such a small fine and no one going to jail? I'm telling you, I think they work for the government. I think these scumbags work for the government, and that's my opinion. And my opinion that they're scumbags as well. I'm sure you feel the same way. J.P. Morgan would choose to let prices fly upward now because they've accumulated all this stuff. The recent large gold deliveries may suggest otherwise, but all may not be lost. I did suspect that if J.P. Morgan decided to unload some of its massive stockpile of physical silver and gold for the purposes of containing prices, that fact would be quickly become obvious. That is precisely what just occurred in the COMEX April gold deliveries. A new dynamic is in play. Just how blatant and obvious can it get that J.P. Morgan is still manipulating the price of gold and silver in complete violation of the law and its own deferred criminal prosecution agreement, whether active or recently expired before the DOJ and CFTC. Folks, again, I can't encourage you enough to email, text, Facebook, Twitter, torture these motherfuckers at the Department of Justice and the CFTC. I mean torture. When I say torture, I don't mean anything violent. I mean torture them mentally with the question, why are they allowing this crooked behavior to happen? And again, I think the real answer is they don't have a choice. They're in bed with these fuckers. All right. But let me go on. But again, one of the things that I've always said is, yeah, they can. Now it's so much in our face now, but. You know, the CME Group was once, at one time, by a small percentage of us, it's not respected, but a growing percentage of people are starting to realize what crooks the CME Group is, or what they've allowed to happen by the crooks in their casino. And you know what happens when a casino gets a bad reputation? Nobody goes and plays there. Less and less people play in crooked casinos, okay, unless they know how the game is rigged, all right? And we do, of course. A lot of people don't. So credibility is a factor, and the credibility of the CME Group right now is still fairly decent. The majority of the public doesn't realize this, but when they start to find out through emails, text, Twitter, Facebook, and when they start to see that how crooked these people are, you know, they're going to hurt their own casino. But anyway, let me move along here. J.P. Morgan in the first quarter with more than $27 billion ahead on its $30 million physical gold position and 1 billion ounce physical silver position, 21 billion, okay. With these and even much larger prospective profits in store on higher gold and silver prices. J.P. Morgan should be mindful before pulling off another blatant manipulative stunt like this. And again, folks, they did it in the past April trade here. They monkey hammered the price down again. But gold is still showing a lot of strength. And like I said, that is because the CME Group and London are losing control over the price of gold. They're losing it. Now, they still control silver. That's why it's still ridiculously priced, probably like other commodities out there. But they're losing control of the price of gold. And JP will lose control of the price of gold at some point, too. But these are just temporary stunts by JP, in my opinion, just to help get their buddies and help the government kind of unwind these short positions that they may have. All right, well, now, again, going down the rabbit hole, even the Justice Department and CFTC will no longer be able to play dumb in the face of such cleanly manipulative shenanigans. Therefore, it seems this episode also favors some regulatory pressure to the end of price manipulation, particularly in silver. On a related matter, here's a copy of the email. Now, you know, folks, I think you could probably, you know what I would do? I would copy this email here and quote Ted Butler and just send it to everybody you know. Now, here's what you can do. You can go to the website here, SilverSeek. There's the title of it, JPM again. Or if you want, you can read this yourself and just kind of paraphrase some questions to put on Facebook. Again, email these bastards too. Look up their emails and email them, all right? All of them. Security Exchange Commission, look up the emails for CFTC. Most importantly, do it in this order. CFTC, Justice Department, the CME Group, and then if you want to do like the SEC and others, definitely for sure, Gensler, those guys, give them emails, let them know that we witnessed the crime. We're all witnesses, even though we're maybe 1% of 1% of the population, we have witnesses. There's thousands and tens of thousands of us that witnessed this crime, folks. And you got to let them know that we've seen it. Pass this along to your friends and other people in the silver and gold community. And again, I'm going to let you kind of read this here. Just stop my video real quick, and read to the bottom of this, and then restart it, and you can read this part right here. I don't need to read that to you. One of the things that, I'm a big fan of AI. Well, let me say I'm a big fan of playing around with it, all right? where it takes us, what it does, and the reliability of it, I still believe garbage in, garbage out. If you give AI a bunch of garbage, that's what's going to spit back out to you. But here, I thought this was cool. What would be the top 5 signals of economic collapse according to non-MMT economic scholars and based on current data? Are we there yet? And AI answers me, the top 5 signals of economic collapse according to non-MMT economic scholars could include, it did say could include, okay, I got to give it that. Sharp and sustained decline in GDP. This could be caused by a variety of factors, recession, high, blah, blah, okay. All right, let's check box number 1. Its own admission, the 5 signals of an economic collapse, all right? That's its own admission, all right? And this is supposed to be smarter than me or be able to derive data better than I can, okay? And I believe that. I believe it can derive data faster and better than I can, so this is what it spit out. Number 2, a sharp rise. Oh gosh, this one's choking me up. A sharp rise in inflation, sudden increase in inflation, particularly if it's accompanied by high levels of debt, could indicate an economic collapse. This could cause a decline in consumer purchasing power, reduce business revenue. Oh boy. Check box number 2, folks. Number 3, financial instability. Instability in financial markets, sharp decline in stock prices or major financial institutions could indicate an economic collapse. This could cause a loss of confidence in the financial system. Check mark number 3, folks. High levels of debt, excessive levels of government, corporation, or household debt could lead to an economic collapse that become check number 4. And most of all, my God, there we go. Check number 5. We have hit every single one of it. Still AI, garbage in, garbage out. Has to seem optimistic. That's probably what's programmed into it. It's difficult to say we are experiencing an economic collapse or headed towards one. No, it's not difficult to say, AI. You just gave me the 5 points, and I just checked off every one of it. And I mentioned this. How can you say it's difficult to say when every point you made is verifiable? Did you give me the correct 5 signals? And AI says, I apologize if my previous response was unclear. While the 5 signals are provided certain indicators, blah, 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 blah. Again, this is garbage in, garbage out. You can read that if you like. But there it is. Gave me the 5 signals, folks, and we checked every one of them. I could probably get 10 different signals that were in an economic collapse. And AI, we would have probably checked off all 10 of them. We checked off the top 5 according to AI, though. What do we got going on out there? Nothing good, nothing good. That is surprising as hell. They get rid of the one moron and they get another bigger Marxist moron in there. Oh my God. And if you haven't noticed, I have no respect for Marxists. I have no respect for, not respect. There's good people out there that are Marxist, socialists, and Democrats, and progressives, which is like not too far behind those guys. There's really good people. I shouldn't say that. But let me just say misinformed, all right? A majority are misinformed, except for Marxists. Marxists are not misinformed. And most Marxists, if you have read any of Marx stuff, theories and stuff, and again, theories, even capitalism, whatever it was. Anyways, if you've read any of that stuff, and I haven't been able to get all through it, I've read parts of it, you're not a stupid person. Again, Marxists are very intelligent people, so I put Marxists at a point where I believe they're dangerous. Marxists are dangerous in general to our Constitution. Marxists are dangerous to our society. Marxists are dangerous. They're just dangerous people. They're intelligent and devious, okay? Because what they haven't figured out is they have devious or what's the word I'm looking for? Just not really getting the big picture. They don't get the fact that, yes, communism does work in theory only. Communism would work great if we were all robots and we all worked in a colony like ants, or we all worked in a colony like bees. That's exactly what Marxists believe, that we can live like bees or ants, all right? A hierarchy to some degree, everybody works for it. It doesn't work that way, folks. People have ambitions. People have things they want to do. Marxists don't get that. Maybe they don't have ambitions other than to rule other people's lives. But when it comes to socialists, progressives, socialists and progressives, all right, they're primarily just following the Marxist drumbeat to some degree, and Marxists just lead them around. They're even, and I don't believe they're even near as smart as most Marxists. Sorry to say that, that's true. But anyways, how did I get, again, rabbit holes. I was talking about this guy, and that's exactly what he is a dangerous Marxist, just like the person he's replacing. All right, let's get out of here. You got my political ideas for a little while. I'm sure I just pissed off any Marxist listeners I have out there. But I got to admit, you Marxist guys are really intelligent. So you just have to get through your thick skulls. And you do have thick skulls. That's because you're smart. You got to get through your thick skulls that in an ideal world, yeah, communism does work. It does. It really does. And in an ideal world where you eliminate ambition, where you eliminate people's dreams or things, or people wanting to be different, okay, or people wanting to do something different, when you eliminate all that stuff. And again, there's going to be some smart Marxists out there that's going to counter me on everything I just said, and that's why they are so dangerous. Not because they counter you on a smart level, just because they're intelligent, but stupid to some degree, in my opinion. But hey, let me move out of there. Not much to talk about in politics, and you see how I get going with that. What's the best deals out there, folks? The best deal is here at Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals, my store here in Lauderdale by the Sea. We're open 10 to 4 Mondays through Fridays. And what do we have as the best deals here? Well, the best deals that we have right now are still 100-ounce silver bars. There's still 10-ounce silver bars, still kilo bars and 1 ounces. Although the premiums have gone up significantly from where they were a couple weeks ago and even a month ago. I mean, prices were down on gold, silver, and platinum, and I was telling everybody, hey, not only the price is down, I was saying this like a month ago, prices down, premiums down, it's a great opportunity to buy, which, you know, people that have already bought in didn't want to hear me say that. So, but for you folks that did last month, man, you got the best of everything. A month or two ago, you were getting low prices and low premiums. Well, I think that's all over right now, folks. Again, let's see what happens. Where gold goes, silver will follow. So if the world gold markets continue to go up and get out of control of the crooks at J.P. Morgan, I think silver is going to follow up that way. And at some point, I think if the banks get really screwed up, they won't have time to play shenanigans in the silver markets, and they'll withdraw a lot of their stuff back out and start worrying about their internal problems of dying. Maybe we'll see silver go up in the case of that once they stop playing around with that. All right, I was telling you, boy, rabbit holes. I should call this the rabbit hole show. Again, best deals out there would be those. I think that a lot of silver products now are going to be spot plus $2.50 or more, spot plus $3 or more. 90% silver is ridiculous. Don't buy it. Trade it in for kilo bars or 1 ounce bars if you can. You can put more silver in your pocket. Same thing with silver eagles. Ridiculously priced. Stay the hell away from them. You'll lose money buying silver eagles at 90% right now. You'll lose it because you'll lose the potential owning another product where you have more silver in your pocket, less premium. So stay away from 90 and silver eagles. When it comes to gold bars, you still can't beat them. But premiums aren't significantly crazy yet in gold eagles yet. I think they're 120, 125 bucks over online, 130 or something like that. I'll beat that price again here at Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals. So I'll get to that in a moment if you want to know how to reach us and what kind of deals we do here in Florida. I'm going to get into yesterday's show here and answer a few questions. Yes, Christine, the dollar is dying. Bo Merchant, I'm a big, don't talk about, okay, all right. Listen, I don't think Ronnie was a bad guy at all, you know. I just think that the direction of our government in so many different ways under so many different administrations and presidents has just been going downhill for decades, and decades, even in Ron's time, okay? But no less, I guess if I had to pick a guy that I liked the most out of all these presidents of the last decades, Ron would be up there. And Michael Matthew, well, who else? Gosh, I'm trying to think who else would be up there. Ron, I can't think of anybody else. You know, I like Jimmy Carter. Now, don't laugh at me. I just liked him because he was for peace and getting us out of wars, and he kind of calmed things down. I believe he calmed things in the Middle East. Economically speaking, he was a moron. But who else? What other? Well, anyways, I'm not going to get into what presidents I like. Oh, gosh, here I go. Michael Matthews, what's up? Joe McDonald's, it's good to see you commenting, as always. Hope you and your wife are well. Dumb things you see, you have to keep silver down. Imagine they let silver go to its true value. That's what I've just been talking about. You know, the true value of silver is way over 50 bucks. You know, I think, I think the real value of silver is way over 50 bucks. What is that, 75, 100? I don't know. I haven't given my time to think about it yet. Yep, that's true as well there. K-Town Daddy, what's going on? Japan jumps ships to bricks. I don't think Japan is a vassal state of the United States, I believe. I hate to say this, but it's true, economically, politically, to some degree as well. Bass and Bullion, rice and beans. Beans and rice. 2 texts if local dealers in Buffalo were like it, I would. Jack Hunt, gold and silver, charging $6.58 for generic silver. Oh man, is Jack charging that much? Wow. Well, I guess that tells me I wouldn't be dealing with Jack. I think he's a nice guy though. Yep, here we go again. Ollie, Donnie's Irish, 1980. Yep, there we go. Here we go again. Gordon B. Hinckley was a financial and sexual scandal surrounding the leader of the Mormon Church. Yeah, that is a crazy church. But aren't they all to some degree? Not the churches themselves and the idea behind them, but the people that run them. Welco Services, what's up? Yagi one. Tree second, about a couple thousand. Yeah, build your house on a rock, not on sand. That's true. Christopher, what's going on again? Zane, hey buddy. Strongman, what's going on? Buy stocks. Mike P, Rob F, and David Donba. I hope I pronounced that right. A little slow. Great, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Thumbs up to all you guys as well. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and that bell if you want to watch future videos of mine. Meanwhile, if you don't find me on this forum here one day, because I opened my big fat trap and got into the censor trap there, which is not hard to do on this particular channel from what I'm understanding, but we don't talk about that kind of stuff. I try to avoid some subjects that I know are just going to be big trouble. And if you remember, I avoided calling that 20, so I called it Critter 19. That's how I probably got away with it all that time instead of the whatever. Here goes the phone again. All right, you can catch me on this channel if I got kicked off that other channel. And I like this channel, Free Speech Channel. I also like this. Since Elon Musk bought it, I think it's more of a free speech forum than it ever was. I'm getting a few more followers out there. First time I've really started to post out there of recent. So you can catch me if you got a Twitter account. Please catch me here. And I got so many comments. It's so easy for me to answer comments on here too because I don't have too many right now. And I'm also, as someone pointed out to me, LinkedIn is for 80-year-olds, but I'm also on LinkedIn. You can catch me there. There's my name there. I think LinkedIn and on Twitter, it's both my personal name, Brian Kuzmar, which you can catch me at. And that's it, folks. I'm going to call it quits. If you're looking to buy gold, silver, and platinum, you live in South Florida, I'm your guy to see. Don't order online. Don't go to the competitors because I'll beat them as well, even though they're nice guys. And the competitors online are nice guys. AppMex, SD, and JM, they were nice people, really. But I will still beat their prices. So if you're looking to buy gold, silver, and platinum, you live in South Florida, come by and see me. I'll take care of that for you. And if you don't live in South Florida and you're looking to buy larger quantities, but you can't visit my store, we do sell in quantities of 100 ounces of gold or more or 1,500 ounces of silver or more here at Commercial Rare Coins using traditional shipping forms and traditional forms of payment like wires and stuff. So give us a call anytime at 954-493-8811 if you're looking to buy large quantities and you live outside the state of Florida and you can't visit us. But if you do live in South Florida, again, we are the people to see. Thanks for watching, folks. Have yourself a great day, and I appreciate everything. I really, really do. Hope you and your family and your friends are well as well. Talk to you soon. Bye.